I'm thrilled that you're joining me here. My name is Marilyn Evans. I'm the founder of Parents Aware and host of the Media Savvy Moms podcast, the podcast that is leading the conversation about parenting and pornography today. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Media Savvy Moms podcast. Last week, I started talking about the family power meeting. And if you listened in, then you know that I'm basically in love with this communication tool. In fact, I called it a workhorse because of how versatile it is and how effective it can be at getting the job done. For me, it is an energy booster for the whole family and the best way to solve any problem or issue, whether it's big or small, that comes up in our day-to-day family life. When used effectively, the family power meeting can act as a kind of first aid responder or even a crisis avoider. Now, last week was all about the what. What is a family power meeting? And in that episode, I explained that POWER is an acronym that stands for purpose, outcomes, win-win, engagement, and resolutions. But more importantly, it represents the strength and energy that comes from working together as a family. And for details and an example of how we use the family power meeting just recently in our own home, you'll want to listen to that episode. It's episode 39. In today's episode, we're going to dive in deeper and discuss when it's appropriate to call a family power meeting. Should this be scheduled in advance, or can it be spontaneous? And we'll also look at how to make your family power meeting a success. Now, I will tell you straight out, the goal here is not perfection. To me, that doesn't fit any real family model. Rather, we're aiming for purposeful and, whenever possible, fun, of course. Before we jump in, let me tell you a little about my husband, Stephen. He is a huge sports fan, and the fact that I can take or leave sports has always been a mystery to him. He was the high school quarterback. He was also a great baseball pitcher. And in recent years, he has coached our kids football and basketball, which he loves to do. So recently I asked him about the football huddle. What is it all about, honey? Like, what happens there? And I will tell you that his eyes lit up. I mean, if we could talk about love languages, I guess sports is his. So he was like, Marilyn, do you really want to know this? Well, let me tell you. And he proceeded to explain in great detail, not just the purpose of the huddle, but the format, the hierarchy, like I had no idea who stands where and why. And just as I was thinking, why did I want to know this again? He said something that caught my full attention. And that is the way everyone knows exactly what to do so that their next 4 to 8 seconds of play on the field is executed to the best of their ability. Wow, that was pretty awesome. Now, I am not a footballer. I'm not even a football fan, but I have played some touch football at family picnics. And I will tell you that the huddle for me is what made the game fun. Obviously, I don't know all the nuances and everything that Stephen knows, but when I was in that huddle, I got my play call for what I was to do on the field. And for someone who thought football could never be for her, that she was an outsider to the game, that huddle pulled me in. And I knew I had an important job to do. And if our team made the play it was supposed to make, whether it was a tackle, an interception, a first down, or a touchdown, I knew I had played my part, no matter how big or small, and that was pretty exciting. So we've established that football is awesome, that the huddle is where it's at, and what the family power meeting can accomplish. But when should you huddle as a family? Should you schedule your family power meetings, or can they just happen spontaneously? The answer, of course, is yes to both. And I think you can tell by the experience I shared in the last episode that when I noticed everyone's emotions in our family were running extra close to the surface because we were starting to snap at each other, that I am all for spontaneous family power meetings. But there have been times when Stephen and I have been very deliberate about scheduling a regular family power meeting, especially when we had all our kids living at home. We have one child in particular who would get very anxious every Sunday evening, worrying about the week ahead. He probably gets that from me, I have to confess. Anyway, he had a lot on the go: sports, working a part-time job. He was concerned about balancing school with all the other demands. Plus, we were going every which way with his siblings and our own commitments. So for a period of time, we met every Sunday evening for a family power meeting. Our main purpose for that was to pull down the calendar off the fridge, check and make sure that everything we were to do that week was on the calendar, and make sure everyone knew what they were doing, where they were going, and how we would make that happen, how we would execute the play. Now, this really helped ease our anxious child's mind. And so, of course, we kept it as a scheduled routine for several months. It's what our family needed then, and it worked. Now, I also remember speaking with vlogger and author Brett Ullman in episode 215, and that episode was called Establishing a Strong Foundation Even Before the Porn Talk. And we talked about different kinds of family meetings and communication. And he mentioned how important it was to their family to take time each year before school started. So maybe you do that as well. But what they did was they would find out what their kids needed, whether that was clothes or shoes, but they'd also review some of the family finances together. They wanted to decide how to allocate funds for their different needs and wants. They might have talked about what sports each child would participate in that year, or whether they would plan for a big birthday party, or whether the kids would rather put money towards a special gift, and other things to that effect. Now, I think it's fantastic that Brett and his wife had their kids' budget with them. They knew that there were X number of dollars available for entertainment and leisure, and that way when it came to making decisions between wants, they fully understood. Why? Because they had been part of the planning process. And you know that we use this exact same principle of transparency and involving kids in the planning when it comes to digital safety. If you're at the stage in your life when your kids are transitioning into a smartphone, or maybe they got a school-issued Chromebook, or they've got a new device of any kind, then I recommend you schedule a family power meeting centered on digital safety. This could be every couple of weeks, or it could be every month for the next little while. And this will ensure that everyone is well aware of what's going on, what their role is in their own digital safety, what challenges might come up as you go along, and how to resolve them. Now, to help you with this, I recommend you download the quick guide to safer screen habits, which I will post in today's show notes. So the schedule of when and how to have a family power meeting is entirely up to you. And whether you choose spontaneous or planned really depends on the purpose for having it and the objectives you hope to accomplish. Just know there are endless positive reasons to have a family power meeting, not the least of which is that it gives your family more power and strength to get things done and help your kids feel part of the planning process. So how do you have a successful family power meeting? You and I know that just because the concept sounds great in theory doesn't mean we're guaranteed to hit the mark. I'm sure you've experienced firsthand, whether it's at work or volunteering at your child's school, and even at home, that there are a whole bunch of ways for meetings to go bad and boring, or worse, have someone leave the meeting feeling worse than when they showed up. You absolutely don't want that for your family power meeting. Remember, the goal is not to be perfect. Just strive to be purposeful. The acronym POWER is designed to help you achieve success. If you have in mind your purpose and know your intended outcomes, then focus on the other 3 steps, the win-win, engagement, and resolutions, to make sure that this takes on the energy of a huddle, of that football huddle where your kids feel truly and fully involved and eager for the next play. So set the tone by being excited yourself to gather and hear their ideas. I personally like to use a chalkboard, or if you have a big notebook or something to jot down ideas and takeaways. You want your kids to see that you're interested in their ideas. They might be the ones that's scribbling them down. You definitely want to write down the resolutions and who's responsible for any actions. This doesn't have to be complicated, just in any way you can do it quickly and effectively. Make your meeting a device-free zone. You want to turn off your notifications and leave your phone in another room. And I know that sounds obvious, and you're probably thinking, oh yeah, the teens, they're always distracted. But I find that Stephen and I can be the guilty ones here. It's so easy to pick up the phone, see a notification, and think, I'll answer that quickly. But your attention in this huddle needs to be there for the whole time. And here's the mom pro tip to really delineate this from boring business to family fun time. I like to throw in the promise of treats. In all my years of parenting, food has never failed to be an effective motivator. Now, if you have multiple children, know that the added bonus is that siblings will start to mentor one another. So if you've got teenagers, they can watch out for younger siblings. And when the little ones see their older siblings getting involved in the planning, it can really set the tone and model for how they can participate in family dynamics now and in the future. As they grow up, they'll already have a sense of their place and purpose for making family decisions. If you're just getting started and the concept of a family power meeting is brand new to you and your kids, go easy. There is no rush to get this right on the first try. Don't try to solve the world. Just solve enough to get to your next family power meeting. And if you don't achieve anything more than gathering and getting out a few ideas, call it a win and go celebrate. Did I mention the promise of treats? Yeah. I'm going to confess that some of our more spontaneous family power meetings have started on compromised emotional footings. It might have been that our kids were fighting over a video game or arguing over who knows what, or mom or dad would have differing opinions. That's a big shocker, I'm sure, to no one. But one or both of us responded by pressing the button and maybe shouting, "Enough! Everyone in the living room stat. We're going to resolve this, and we're going to resolve this now." Well, those meetings weren't our best work, but we kept at it and we kept improving. And often by the end of what might have started emotionally charged, we left feeling relieved and ready to start again. So consistency, consistency, consistency. Know your objective and work towards it. It's so important. So try to listen more than you talk. This is a chance for your kids to express how they're feeling and what they can do. That's the win-win part of the meeting. And you will reap the benefits of this over time. Also, be mindful that every child is different. I get that some of your kids will respond really well, and some of your kids are going to hit a stage in life when the last thing they feel like they want to do is hang out with family. But you just gotta let them know as much as you can that their opinion is still valued and appreciated. Help them know that they are heard, seen, and loved. And as they come through that challenging phase in their life, they're going to come back and remember that you were really there for them after all, despite whatever grief they might be giving you along the way. All right, so that's it. This week, your challenge is to have a family power meeting. And I want you to think of it like that football huddle. In this case, you are the quarterback. Make sure everyone knows what the purpose for gathering is and what objectives you hope to accomplish. Maybe like my family, you're feeling stuck. The cabin fever is building, combined with COVID fatigue, and you just need a boost to recharge. Or maybe you're ready to work on those safer screen habits. Remember, you don't need to solve everything all at once. It's enough to start to get everyone in your family engaged and decide on 1 or 2 resolutions that you're going to execute in that play. And then, when it's time, huddle up again. You will do great. I know you will. Thank you again for joining the conversation. If you'd like more information about what was discussed in this episode, visit our detailed show notes at parentsaware.info. And if you simply want to follow us on social media, we are at Media Savvy Moms on Instagram and parentsaware/Media Savvy Moms podcast on Facebook. Until next time, keep talking.